Welcome back, guys. So today we are going to look at Europe post-Napoleon. Again, Napoleon's gone. He's been banished to this island off the coast of Africa where he will ultimately die from stomach cancer. That is what most historians believe. Some have a conspiracy theory that he was poisoned, but that's not ever really been proven. But today we're going to take notes in the form of a foldable. So take your pieces of paper, take the two outside, fold them so that they meet in the middle like this, And so the front of your foldable is going to look like that. And it will say British imperialism in India. British imperialism in India. All right. And on the inside, when you open it up, on the inside, you're going to have negative, notes, positive. All right. So the notes portion is going to go in the middle. And then I will turn the projector on. We're going to look at negatives of British imperialism and positives of British imperialism. All right, so let's move over here to the note-taking side of the whiteboard. And again, what we're doing on the whiteboard goes in the middle of your foldable. This is what goes in the middle of your foldable. Now, we're going to discuss imperialism, Great Britain's imperialism in India. We need to know what imperialism is. All right, so imperialism All right, so you have imperialism. Imperialism is when you have country A and you have country B. So the first thing that you should notice is that country A is much, much larger than country B. Well, imperialism is when country A goes into country B. And once they go into country B, they start to control them. They attempt to take control of three aspects of life in that country. They try to influence or enforce ways of life that refer to politics, which when I'm talking about Great Britain, that is the crown, the monarchy. So politics, that's a crown. You probably can draw a better crown than me, but I know that that's a crown. Economics. So politics, economics, and the last one is society. They try to control society, what's normal, what people do, cultural ideologies, things of that nature. So imperialism is when a larger country goes into a smaller country in order to control politics, economics, and society. Politics, economics, and society. And so what happens as a result of this imperialism is that you have the island of Great Britain, right? You have Great Britain. Okay? And Great Britain is an island. It's surrounded by water on all sides. Okay? Great Britain is sending boats, lots and lots of boats. All right? And they're sending boats to India. They're going to India. All right? So Great Britain is sending boats on their way to India. And all of these boats are from a company known as the East India Company. And they're called the East India Company because what's happening is these boats are going into India and they're getting goods from India and they're bringing them back to Great Britain. They're taking these, India is east of Great Britain, so the East Indies, goods from the East Indies or East India, and they're bringing them back to Great Britain and selling them, much like a company would do. And so the East India Company is going to India, receiving goods, they're coming back to Great Britain. And so what you see as a result of this is that You have Great Britain on this side. It's a quote unquote partnership. Great Britain calls it a partnership. You're going to see that it's not really that. It's Great Britain taking advantage of India, because what's coming from India to Great Britain are resources. Resources. And these resources, because Great Britain has imperialized and they controlled the economics, it's not costing Great Britain anything for these resources. But Great Britain is taking the resources and they're making things out of them, and they're taking those goods and they're sending them back to India. But the problem is that these goods are being sent back to India and sold. So they're making lots of money off of these goods. Great Britain is. So the goods are coming from India, and money, or the goods are going to India and money is coming back. So you can see free resources are coming to Great Britain. Goods are being sold. Money is coming back to Great Britain. And so India is really losing all of their resources. They're losing things that they are able to trade for other goods that they may need, or that they can sell because it's stuff that they need. And they're losing that. In fact, Great Britain is gaining money off of India's stuff. India is not gaining money off of India's stuff. And so what you see happen is that Great Britain is quickly realizing all of this money that's coming. And so because they're making this money, they take that money, and again, they go into India, because currently the East India Company is operating through boats. The East India Company is operating through boats, and they're taking their goods from India and sailing them to other places. Well, what Great Britain does is they realize how much money they're making. They take that money, and all around India, throughout India, they build railroad tracks. And they build these railroads, and this railroad system allows them to conduct business faster. It's also another way, another opportunity to trade with countries that are not near the water, but it also allows them to conduct business between the two countries faster. And so what you see is that as a result, India, on these trains, four things in particular, there's more than four, but the four big things that are being sold or traded or taken by Great Britain through these trains are tea. Just a poorly drawn tea. So tea, coffee mug, tea, coffee. So tea, coffee, cotton. And this is a big one. Cotton is a big one because it's a natural resource. It just grows. And Great Britain is able to take that natural resource and make goods out of it. And so they take those goods and then they sell them. So they're getting a free resource to make something to sell it to others. They're taking the tea out of India, the coffee from India, and they're trading it with these other countries who don't like maybe the British style of tea. Essentially, it's like different brands. You know, it's still tea, but Indian tea and British tea are different. It's two different brands. Some people like one brand and not the other. And the last one is opium, which they are using to smoke. Now, I'm not good at drawing a pipe, so if you're a better pipe drawer than I am, by all means. But then they're trading opium uh, which is kind of a big deal. It creates a drug issue way later on down the line. But so these are your notes. Again, this is the middle section of your folder. These are your notes of what the Great Britain's imperialism in India is. So again, quick review. So that you can see that hopefully doing this through images and drawing it out is designed another way to try and help you remember the information. All right. So we're going to go through. We're going to look at all of our images, and I'm going to show you that it tells a story. All right. Imperialism is when a larger country, country A, goes into a smaller country, country B, and seeks to control them politically, economically, and socially. So they want to implement policies from their bigger country and put them in place in the smaller country. All right? Then, so this imperialism idea takes place between Great Britain and India. And they do this through sailing and the East India Company. So Great Britain goes, they set up in India, and it initially starts as a business. And then Great Britain wants complete control in there because that allows the East India Company to obtain resources for free. Resources are going from India to Great Britain for no money. And the result is that they can create goods, send those goods back to India, and as a result, money comes back from India. So it's a double win for Great Britain because they're not paying anything for the resources, but India is paying for the goods that are created from the resources. And so Great Britain starts to make so much money off of this that they try to find a way to make it faster. And they do that by building railroad tracks all around India. All throughout India, you have railroad tracks. And four major things proceed to be traded via the railroad tracks. You have tea, you have coffee, you have cotton, and you have opium. All right? So now, what we are going to do is we're going to fill out the two outsides of our foldable. All right, we're going to look at the negatives of British imperialism in India and then the positives of British imperialism in India. All right, so be sure that you are writing them in the correct place. So, where is my mouse? There it is. Let's move this over here so we can see it. Boom. All right, so British imperialism. First, we're going to look at the negative effects of British imperialism. So the first negative effect is that India loses their political and economic power. Great Britain just kind of comes in, sets up shop, and begins to run this country the way that they want to run it. And this harms the Indian people. This isn't how India was run before Great Britain got there. This isn't how they operated before Great Britain got there. And the British ideology limits what the native Indians are able to do. So you see industries start to decline, specifically Indian industries, because Great Britain starts to implement and set up laws and rules that don't allow the Indian people to utilize these industries, specifically textiles, which is cloth. Indian cloth starts to become obsolete because Britain wants to control the cloth industry. They start to emphasize these cash crops that are built or that are grown specifically to make money off of. And so the emphasis that the British politicians put in place results in a loss of food crops. The villagers are not able to sustain themselves because the policies that are put in place by Great Britain says you have to grow these specific crops, not the crops that you need to live, the crops that we, Great Britain, want to make money off of. And so this conversion reduces your food population. India has a very large population of people. So the lower production of food leads to famines and millions of people starving to death. Again, because Great Britain wants them to focus on growing the crops or the growing the crops and the resources that they can make money off of. And them growing food for themselves doesn't help Great Britain make money. And they imperialize India to make money. Um, and the last one, the last negative, there's more, but the last one we're going to talk about, British missionaries start to threaten the Indian culture. The missionaries arrive with the idea of spreading Christianity. Christianity isn't, I'm not going to say disliked, but it's not common in India. They're not a Christian group. They're not a Christian people. It's not in their culture. And so British missionaries coming and kind of forcing Christianity on these people harms Indian culture. It harms India's way of life because that's not the way India is set up. That combined with racism, because again, these British individuals get over there and they're white Caucasian people, and they just believe that because they're white and Caucasian and the Indian people are not, that they are better. They view the Indian people's way of life as different, and because it's different, it's not equal, and they're lesser people. And so that racism and the forcing of Christianity on the Indian people really, really harms and threatens the traditional Indian culture. Again, these are not Native American Indians. These are people from India, the country of India. There are some positive effects. The first, the railroad network that Britain sets up in India becomes the third largest railroad. And it does allow the Indian people to unify. They're able to come together. India is so vast and has such a large population that they weren't necessarily unified and together at times. They were spread out. And so the railroad industry does allow them to come together and unify and create a more modern economy. With the idea of making money. But again, the more money they make, that money, a lot of that money is being sent to Great Britain. But it does set up a railroad network allowing the Indian people to come together. The road networks, dams, bridges, irrigation, telephone and telegraph lines, all of these things are built because, again, India didn't have them. India had survived without them. But when Great Britain comes in, that's not how Great Britain is. The British people are used to living. And they believe that their way is more modern and the better way of living. And so they go and they set these things up, which again does help India modernize, but it may have come at the cost of the Indian culture. But they go in, they build roads, they build dams, they build bridges, they create these irrigation canals because India is partially a desert. And so the irrigation canals helps them to save water. They create communication lines because, again, India is so large, it allows them ways to communicate. So it does help India modernize. The dams, the bridges allow them to control their monsoon seasons with flooding damages and all of that. So that is a positive. Sanitation and overall public health does improve in India because, again, Great Britain has a more modern medicine, more modern ways of helping with sanitation and health, and so they bring that to India and they modernize in that way, and that improves. Schools and colleges end up being set up in India, and I don't want to say education improves because the Indian people are not uneducated when the British arrive. But literacy does improve. Their reading and writing improves drastically because of the British growth in schools and colleges. And last, the British troops show up and put an end to kind of internal warfare between the Indian people, local warfare, tribes of sorts fighting against one another. The British troops kind of show up and they unify the Indian people and they say, we're going to stop this fighting or you're going to fight us. And again, at this time, Britain, big, bad superpower. Like nobody, these local Indian tribes are not prepared and ready to fight against the British troops. And so because the British troops are able to clear out these bandits. They put it into this local warfare, which again is another way to help India unify and modernize as a result. We're going to stop here. We're going to go, as we go into our next videos, we're going to look at some of the things that happened to the British as a result. Specifically, there's a mutiny, there's an uprising, there's a revolt. We'll look at that in the next couple of videos. But we're going to stop here. Be sure you check Canvas for your assignment. Reach out to me if you have any questions. As always, you have a great day.